Hey friend, welcome. I'm so excited to have you here listening to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. Here we talk all about the ins and outs of designing knit and crochet patterns and running a business that makes it all possible. I'm Jessica, your host, knitting pattern designer, design mentor, and the friend in your ear. Can't wait to dive right in. The Pattern Design Circle podcast is sponsored by the Pattern Design Circle, a membership community for knit and crochet pattern designers that are feeling lost, lonely, or frustrated in their business. It connects you with a supportive community that's always eager to answer your questions and help you through the hard times. And there's loads of resources and activities specifically catered to business and designing. Sound like your jam? Check it out at snickerdoodleknits.com/design-circle. That's snickerdoodle, like the cookie, knits, knits.com/design-circle. All right, let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Pattern Design Circle podcast. I am so excited that you're here listening in, and I'm here chatting in your ear. So thanks for joining me once again. Today we are going to be talking all about why it doesn't work to just do what everyone else is doing or to copy everyone else, and why it really is so important to be your own unique self with an aligned business to who you are and what you want. So I'm super excited to chat about this with you today, and let's go ahead and just dive in. So first of all, I want to go ahead and talk about why there is this temptation to copy everyone else and why it often doesn't feel like we're just trying to copy everyone else. So I think part one of this is the age that we are living in is the age of social media. We see what all sorts of other people are doing. And when there is this perception of somebody is successful, you want to do what they're doing so that you can be successful, right? So it's easy to want to copy or emulate what they're doing. Sometimes this is healthy. Looking at what was working for other people is definitely healthy to understand how to be successful. But there's a difference between paying attention to what is working, say being authentic, telling stories, things like that, and wanting to just copy them, which might be like, all right, I need to be this kind of person who loves to do this, this, and this, and I need to have this kind of personality, and I need to approach people this way, and I need to have these values, and I need to create these kinds of designs. That is when you are starting to copy somebody else, and when I think you shouldn't be doing that. And I'll talk about why. The other part of this whole social media thing is there's a lot of social pressure. So when a lot of folks are going one direction, it feels like you need to go that direction too. I see this a lot in the knitting community with, fads around this yarn dyer or this knitting pattern, or even like this pressure that you need to be knitting every day. Spoiler alert, I am a designer. I do not knit every day. I go several days without knitting usually. That I used to struggle with that a lot. Like, how in the world can I call myself a knitter and a designer when I'm not knitting all the time? And the truth is that that's not what is an alignment for me. The only reason I felt like I should do that is because it looked like that's what everybody else was doing, and that's what you had to do to be a real knitter or a real designer. And then I just started to feel pressure that I needed to be knitting, even if I didn't want to be knitting, and I don't think that's healthy. So that's a big red flag. Anytime you aren't loving what you're doing, anytime you feel like there's should do or have to do or need to do, take a look at those things, examine them, ask yourself why you feel that way. And if there are things that you want to do, maybe reframe the way you think about it to I want to do this instead of I need to, I should, I have to do these things. that even goes for things that you enjoy. Like, I need to write this pattern by date XYZ. And maybe it's true that you need to in order to meet a deadline. But if you rephrase it to more like, I want to finish this pattern by date so that I can have this out by date so that knitters can have it before Rhinebeck, so that the dyer isn't disappointed in me, so that whatever those things are. And anytime it has to do with somebody else, also examine how your mindset around that, because there are so many different things that we think we should have to need to do that we don't. There's also a lot of things that we think we should have to need to do, and really we want to, but we've created this mindset around it that is now making it unpleasant to do that thing. So that's my side tangents there. There's always at least one, isn't there? So I definitely think a lot of why we have this tendency to want to do what quote unquote everyone else is doing is because of this social media, perceived success, social pressure. And if we want to go on another little tangent here, the reason for that is because our brains are wired to survive. Historically, when you didn't fit in and you could have been ostracized and kicked out of the community, that could have been life or death. So we still have a lot of those brain tendencies wired in our brain. I don't know all the technical words, but we have those tendencies, and that is why. It's because we're trying to protect ourselves for survival. And the truth is, a lot of what we're doing, this actually doesn't have to do with our survival. It might have to do with wanting to make people happy. It might want to do with trying to fit in. But I think it is valuable to go ahead and examine those things. What is the motive? What is the reason? Why am I wanting to, having to do, should be doing all of these different things? The other part to this is this whole mentality of what is the secret to success? And so because of that, we are looking at the people who look successful. Spoiler alert, not everybody who looks successful is successful, and not everybody who doesn't look successful isn't successful. There are plenty of folks out there who have hardly any social media following, and they are extremely successful financially. Also, of course, remember your definition of success, all of those things. That is part of why this is problematic, is because somebody's definition of success might not be the same as yours. But this whole idea that there is a secret to success out there and I just have to find it. I am somehow losing out, missing out. I've missed the memo. Everybody else has it. And so now I have to go find it and apply it. And that's not necessarily true. There are so many different ways to reach your definition of success. I talk about this a lot with marketing. There are so many different ways that you can market your business. So many of them do work, but they don't all work for you. And so when you go to copy somebody else, to learn from their definition of success, if you're listening to the audio, I'm using a lot of air quotes right now. If you're trying to learn from what they're doing so that you can be successful based on what they're doing, it's not necessarily going to work for you. So maybe you see that somebody has a podcast episode on YouTube twice a week. They are creating 3 new patterns every month. They are energetic and extroverted and funny and all of these different things. So you see this, maybe you see 10 different people this way, and now you have decided that that is what it takes to be successful. So now let's say you are not those things. You prefer to design intentional designs that take longer, so you aren't able to publish 3 a month. You are introverted, so it drains a lot of your energy to be doing 2 podcasts a week, and you don't show up in the same manner. What's going to happen when you try to approach this style, this quote unquote secret for success in your mind, is you are going to get burned out. You are not going to feel aligned. You are going to be drained energetically because you are not doing the work that fits you, that fits your personality, that fits what you're trying to create, that fits your goals. So that is why I always seem to come back to know your why, know your definition of success, know what you really want, because without it, everything else can get skewed. All right, I'll leave that at that tangent. Okay, so that's really why we have this temptation to copy, even if we don't realize we're trying to copy other people. There's this temptation to try to copy people because we feel like either we should, we have to, or we need to, or we think it is what is going to bring us success. And of course, there's overlap between those as well. Now, this is why it doesn't work. Part of why it doesn't work is if everybody starts looking, acting, selling the same thing, the same way. We have 100 different designers that all dress same kind of style, they all portray the same kind of interests, they all portray the same kind of personality, they all design the same kind of designs. Now you have 100 different people to choose from when you're going to buy a pattern. And how do you choose who you're going to buy from? There is no way for you to stand out and make yourself different if you're copying what everybody else is doing. And instead, you're really kind of drowning out your possibility of success because you're trying to fit in and mold into everybody else. And now you're making it harder for your customer to find you, to really want to feel loyal to you, and to understand why they should purchase from you. So this is why it is important to be your unique self, to design your own unique patterns, to stick to what you really love and you're passionate about. When you're in the sea of 100 different people doing the same thing, and all of them are kind of like, I'm just doing this to be successful, that's not going to stand out. Now, don't be scared if your work does kind of look like somebody else's work. As far, not like copying, not like same designs, but, say there's other people who also design lace designs. Don't be scared from doing that. Your passion will shine through, your energy will shine through, your personality will shine through when you are staying authentic and aligned to yourself. You don't have to worry about things being oversaturated when you are living in alignment with yourself. The fact that there's lots of other people doing it is actually a good sign, because then that also likely means that there's lots of people buying. Yeah, so just remember that it's okay to stand out and to be unique. Also, unique doesn't mean that you have to be like Stephen West. It doesn't mean that you have to be completely, totally different. You are already unique as you are, even if you don't really realize it already, if you don't know it already. I feel like we are often blinded from our uniqueness because we live with ourselves every single day. We're completely used to who we are. It feels normal. It's everyday Joe Schmo, but you are unique. And so work to uncover what makes you unique, what makes you different from other people, what makes you different from the designers around you. And don't be afraid to show that and share that with your audience. Now, the other reason I was just talking about everyone looking the same and it becoming really actually oversaturated. That's one reason it doesn't work. The other reason I think it doesn't work is because there's misalignment there. People are going to buy from you because of who you are. More and more people are wanting to have a connection with the brands they're purchasing from. They want to know what your brand values are, who you are as a person. They want to be able to connect with you and like, know, and trust your work. In order for that to happen, you have to be willing to show who you are and share who you are online or in person, wherever you're selling. They can't get to know you and build this brand affinity, this really keen interest in supporting you if you never share who you are. Now, another part to this is that your people are attracted to you. So when you are just you, you are more easily attract the kind of people who like you, are interested in you, are going to obsess over your designs, are going to adore your work, are going to love your personality, are going to want to connect with you and communicate with you via comments or emails or direct messages. When you are trying to be somebody else, it can actually get really confusing, both for you and for your customer, because there are going to be parts of you that are going to show themselves. And then there's going to be this part of you that's trying to show up as a certain specific kind of person. And then the messaging, energy, all of that just gets weird. And it's hard to wade through. Who are you actually? What do you actually stand for? What is your personality actually like? This is really confusing to me. Why am I following you? And so it just simplifies a lot of things when you just step into who you are and you live, create authentically, in alignment with who you are, what your goals are, and what your why is, what your passion is. The last part of this is that when you get into this cycle of trying to copy everyone else, do what everyone else is doing, you start to try to mold yourself into somebody else. You're still who you are, but you're trying to make yourself like other people or like somebody else. Might just be one person. And the problematic part about that for us as people, when we're trying to do that, is that then we get stuck in this acting, pretending, role play kind of situation. We feel like we have to put on a different persona to show up online, to show up to our audience. And it's not genuine, it's not authentic. That makes it a lot more work, and it makes it energy draining. And then it also can make it really anxiety inducing. You have to worry about how you're showing up and who you're showing up as when you aren't showing up authentically. When you are showing up authentically, you don't have to worry about messing up. You don't have to worry about being the wrong person, because you are you unapologetically, authentically, and vulnerably. And it's easier when you show up in that way for your audience to give you grace and to acknowledge that you're a human with shortcomings. because they've seen you as a human. They've seen you the way that you actually are. Where when you try to put on the persona of somebody else and trying to be all professional and perfectionist and all of these different things, your audience is going to expect more of this perfection. And when you suddenly make a move that is human, which, you're human, you will make human errors. Folks aren't as forgiving and as grace giving in those kinds of situations. So that is my thoughts on why it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work to copy other people, why it doesn't work to do what everyone else is doing. You created a business so that you could do what you love, what you're passionate about, so that you could fit things into your definition of success, so that you could fit them into your own terms. So why would you turn around and start copying other people? Why would you start molding your life and your business into the terms of and definitions of somebody else who isn't going to share the same values and personality and all of the different things that you have? So don't be afraid to unapologetically be yourself, and be unique. You don't have to be like everybody else to be successful. You don't have to have a certain kind of personality. You don't have to have a certain kind of designs. Your people are out there and they're looking for you. So just be yourself. It's okay. One of the people that I lately have really found inspirational when it comes to just being yourself is Leonie Dawson. She is a creator from Australia and blogger, and she has a lot of different courses and all of these different things. But she shows up as herself. You go on her website and you can totally see what her personality is, how she acts. She puts it out there in the open and isn't hiding who she is. And then you can tell when she shows up on her podcast and things like that, she gets to just be herself. And people are going to support her as herself. So if you aren't familiar with Leonie, oh, I'm sorry. I had Leonie on as a guest inside of the Design Circle last month. That was July of 2022. If you're inside the Design Circle, go ahead and listen to her replay. We talked about marketing without social media. Absolutely loved the conversation. If you aren't a Design Circle member, of course, feel free to go ahead and join snickerdoodleknits.com/design-circle. The link will also be in the show notes. And as soon as you join, you have access to all of our past replays. But anyway, if you're not familiar with her, go ahead and check her out. I find her content really inspirational from the aspect, especially of just letting go of what you think you should be or have to be or need to be, and just being yourself, unapologetically. And she talks a lot about how, because she just shows up as herself, she doesn't have to worry about so much the kind of people she's attracting. She's working with the people that get her, that appreciate her, that really value her as a person, and that just makes everything easier. So yes, I hope that this is inspirational to you. If you feel like you are wanting to, needing to, should be molding yourself to what other people are doing, how other people are acting, how other people are operating their business, because I think that hurts you more than it helps you. Don't be afraid to just dive into who you are, show up as yourself, and see where that takes you. It's a journey that will be unique to you, and I think that's beautiful and wonderful, and Your people who love you are going to be so excited to follow you on your journey. So I hope you found this podcast super helpful and motivational, inspirational, all of the different things. If you have any follow-up questions, go ahead and reach out to me at Pattern Design Circle on Instagram, and I will see you in the next one. Wow, thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you found it valuable, please share the podcast with a designer friend. And if you have a minute, leave a review. It's so helpful for me and means the world to me. Chat soon.